Dear friends, I'm recording this video on the last day of the long-promised heatwave. This weekend is our St. Mary's Festival and temperatures will be a little lower, which is probably a good thing. Let's hope it's going to stay dry because we've got lots planned for the great outdoors. For most of the activities you can simply turn up, but it really helps us in our planning if you do sign up in advance. You can do that on our website with the link below. There is only one event which is now full, and that's the 10:30 all-age service on Sunday. You can of course take part on YouTube, and we still have lots of space for the 9 o'clock Holy Communion service. How are you doing? Who would have thought in March last year that 18 months later there is still so much uncertainty and anxiety about this pandemic? And of course, one of the challenges is that we never quite know what will be happening around the next corner. We might think we're now well on our way in recovery and rebuilding, and then something happens. Maybe a family member or a friend gets seriously ill with COVID. Maybe we have to cancel a holiday and we are unsettled all over again. Many of the emotions we have dealt with want to get out, and it's not surprising that we feel vulnerable, although we think we should be getting a grip now. What do you say when someone asks you, "How are you?" "I'm fine." A witty person has once said that FINE stands for fickle, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. It's so important that we ground our confidence and our hope in the unshakable love of God and not in our circumstances. God is faithful. He says to us, "I will never leave you or forsake you." On Sunday, I will briefly reflect on 3 words which I believe are important for this season, and they are grace, pace, and trace. Firstly, grace. At times of heightened stress and uncertainty, tempers can fray, and we might become a bit less gracious. You might have noticed that in yourself or in other people. And so let's ask God to give us extra grace with others, especially those who are close to us, because they often can bear the brunt of our exhaustion. In James chapter 4, we read that God gives us more grace. He opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. Secondly, pace. Many people have asked deep spiritual questions as a result of the pandemic. Others feel lonely and isolated. We are facing a mental health crisis and an environmental crisis. The list goes on, and there is a sense that the Church of Jesus needs to go into overdrive to respond. But the race we are running for Jesus is a marathon, not a sprint. And many of us are exhausted. We are tired. And so we also honor God by acknowledging our weakness and asking Him to show us what He wants us to do for Him, not what we think we must do for Him. And so we're not going to launch a whole string of new initiatives this term. As a church, we are struggling as it is to maintain some of the things we're already doing, because a number of people are reassessing their priorities and cutting back. Let's get the pace right. Neither stalling the bike and falling off, nor racing at breakneck speed and crashing around the next corner. And thirdly, trace. Let's trace together the good plans that God has for our church and for us personally. Let's see the footsteps of Jesus who's going ahead of us, and then step into those steps. And I trust that we will find that He will supply our needs and He will use us for His glory. Let's be open for His Spirit to surprise us in this season. In all of this, prayer and community will be so important. I've said it several times over the last weeks, having lots of cups of tea together or coffee or a pint is so important to reconnect. And one thing we will be starting this term is the well. For some time we have felt the need to meet together to pray, worship and listen to God. We will do this monthly, starting on Monday the 13th of September. That is next Monday at 8 o'clock at St. Mark's. Please sign up to help us manage the numbers. This gathering will not be streamed on the internet. It's so important that we set aside time to let God speak to us and to bring our needs and the needs of the world to Him. I've never dug a well, but I've heard it takes some effort. We had the beautiful example of a well being dug in the Lift orphanage home in Nigeria a few months ago. And it was so nice to see those photos once they had struck water. It was so worth all the effort when life-giving fresh water was bubbling up from the ground. We don't know what the next months will hold, but we do know the God who holds us and our times. And we know that our times are in His hands, as the psalmist says. Let's lean into community and prayer together. Let's come to Jesus and drink. Stay safe, stay connected, and stay hopeful.